Good morning, everyone. Thanks for those that could join early. We're expecting a few more. So again, thanks for taking the time to join us for another spatial webinar. I am Matthew Webster, Vice President of Corporate Services at Spatial Innovision. And today I'm joined by Roshaun Clarke, Deputy CEO of Spatial Innovision, and Kerry-ann Mahabeer, or Training Manager at Spatial. Today's topic is the virtualization of training, and Roshaun will share a bit as to how Spatial has been able to pivot during the ongoing pandemic, while Kerry will go into a little bit more detail about Spatial's virtual training system with a demo for you guys to see how it works. Following Kerry's presentation, we'll have Roshaun share a few more Spatial updates and then move right into the Q&A session. So if there are any questions during the session, send them in the Q&A section of the chat and we'll get to each then. And now with that said, I'll now hand over to Roshaun to better lay the foundation.
Hi, morning, everyone. Thank you, Matthew. A special good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're joining from around the world. Of course, every month we present our spatial webinar series where we update the geospatial community across the Caribbean on the latest developments in GIS technology from our partners, as well as the development from our in-house cadre of experts. Today, we're going to talk about pivoting during the pandemic. Of course, this is something that affects all of us globally, and this is something that was unforeseen, I would say, and how we respond really depends on our internal ability to pivot. Now, what do I mean by pivot? If you look at it from a sports standpoint, pivot is, like in basketball or netball, someone throwing the ball to you, you're rotating on one leg to another leg and going for the score. Now, people think of pivot as the actual spin, but the whole workflow or the whole process of pivoting is from before the ball even gets to you. So the idea is that you would have to have your eyes on the next step and see the ball coming before you actually do the action of pivoting. And it's a very similar thing within spatial. Long before the pandemic hit us, Spatial recognized that there were advantages and were constantly evaluating what we were doing in every aspect, including training. And we saw that there were some advantages of a virtual delivery as opposed to a physical delivery. Our training has managed to pivot because we were way ahead of this curve. We were already engaging and participating in virtual training and seeing the pros of that and working out the workflow so that when this opportunity came, and when I say opportunity, of course, the pandemic is not a good thing in many regards, and it is a challenge for the entire world. But of course, with every challenge, there is an opportunity. And so understanding that there may be some opportunity here, we pivoted to a full virtual training program that we were able to implement right away. Now, some of our participants may be able to relate to this more on a personal level. If you're a parent or you have a family member who has kids that are going through a normal school year and then the pandemic hit, there are many schools that have reacted differently. Some have been able to instantly set up a virtual setting, and some have really had a little challenge getting there. This is what we're talking about, being able to pivot. And our training is built on three main principles, which is customized to our client, a safe environment, and of course, a flexible, agile, and adaptive workflow to benefit our client. So this is in essence what we have done. We have pivoted from full or hybrid before mixture of digital or virtual and physical to having a fully functional and successful virtual training. And this is what we would like to share with you today. I'm going to pass to my colleague and also the training manager, Ms. Kerry-ann Mahabeer, who can walk you through what the virtual training looks like now for Spatial Innovision. Kerry?
Thanks very much, Roshaun. And we'll start with an understanding of how training has been delivered traditionally with the instructor-led on-site training. For this, sessions are conducted in a traditional classroom environment. There are particular benefits with instructor-led on-site training, such as hands-on practice using associated software and hardware technologies, certified trainer guidance on the practices and recommended workflows, peer-to-peer learning, encouraging classroom activities and discussions, as well as instructor available to you for questions, group discussions, and one-on-one interactions throughout the class. Typically, we have two options available for our instructor-led classes: scheduled training, where sessions are conducted at a convenient location for groups that come from a mixture of organizations and individuals as well. We also have client-side training, where sessions are conducted on site at your office location or a location of your organization's choosing. And as Rashawn had mentioned, we have pivoted to virtual training delivery with instructor-led online. He mentioned too our journey, which began before the pandemic hit us all. We had recognized the need to reach and train teams that may be in separate locations, but needed a collective training experience. Virtual instructor-led training is real-time remote instructor-led. Online is a convenient option to experience all the benefits of the traditional instructor-led training experience, and now from the comfort of your own space. So now we deliver in the traditional classroom style that you're used to, as you see here on the left. And also, we are conducting training sessions online. To attend online, you need the digital course material, which is made available to you before each course begins, the virtual machine, the access to that, which each student will have, and access to the virtual conference room. The computer you use to attend class, at this point at least, must have Windows 10, 8, or 7. You must have stable or high-speed internet connection, and your browser, Chrome or Firefox ideally, should be HTML5 enabled, with cookies, JavaScript, ActiveX, and plugins enabled, of course. The virtual training environment comes with many features that allows for ease of access to the instructor, other students, the course material, the virtual lab, and individual practice exercises. Here are a few elements of the virtual training ecosystem: a thumbnail view of the classroom for the instructor, shareable controls of the virtual lab space, the use of audio and video for communicating. In addition, there is also public and private chats. There is screen sharing for the presentation of the material, whiteboard write-up as needed. Of course, there's group management and the ability to monitor activities. You'll see more on these in a few. And we'll start with the student experience. Daily and throughout a course, each student will access the virtual conference room via the conference bridge link. You'll get that beforehand. Here, content presentations are delivered and discussions are had around this content and also the related exercises. Access is available to your virtual machine throughout the entire course, and guidance is provided to you with content presentations, step-by-step workbook instructions, as well as instructor assistance. We'll now take a look at what your experience would be. Each student receives a student details email that welcomes you to the course, lets you know about the course duration and start time. You're provided with the link to join the conference bridge and who your instructor will be. Included also is the link to the lab portal and the access code needed. Please note that access codes aren't to be shared. A welcome benefit of the virtual training is that the platform is available to you throughout the entire course, starting on day 1 at 2 a.m., continuously to the last day at 10 p.m. This gives you the opportunity to practice the skills learned or to work on exercises you may not have completed during the class hours. And finally, this email also includes the link that allows you to download the material for the course. So this email captures the only 3 things a student needs for each class: the conference bridge, the virtual lab, and your workbook. Before the beginning of a class, you would download the workbook. All the data would have already been preloaded to the virtual machine. And here's what the virtual conference room looks like, where content presentations are made. In this instance, we're working with Microsoft Teams. So in the center here, you'll see the presentation of the material, as mentioned before. You also see the students on the right. We see that we have 2 students present, Amanda Smith as well as John Williams. The instructor can see that Amanda's hand is raised and can attend to her as needed. So you see her hand raised here. The conference room also has a chat function within it as well. So you see, again, to the right, you see the chat area. And you can see that John has a question regarding 2D versus 3D scenes. And Amanda still won't be missed. We can see here that her hand is raised and we can attend to her as well, even if we're not looking at the list of the participants. On the morning of day 1, you will connect to the meeting, which you saw previously with the example of Microsoft Teams, and you will connect to the virtual lab. Let's take a look at the virtual lab for the student experience. To access the lab, you'll copy your unique code and click the link from the student details email. This takes you to the lab portal. Here, you will use your access code to sign in. For sign in, you will set your name, a password is optional, and then accept the terms and click OK. Once signed in, you will be on one of 2 tabs. The lobby tab, which we see here. This gives you an overview of the class itself, the participants, the instructor, the name of the event or the course. Or you could be on the lab tab, where you access your virtual machine. This tab lets you know the status of your machine. Here it says up, which means it's ready to go. And you see also the credentials to sign in to your virtual machine. Username student, password student. To start your virtual machine, click on Connect to the lab. Your virtual machine is being prepared for you. And here you will use those credentials to sign in. So username is student and your password is also student. So you're signing in as you would to any ordinary machine. Once signed in, well, as you see here, this pop-up is related to the machine, but not related to the course itself. So we just close this out. And you'll see the desktop for your virtual machine. And of course, it looks like any other machine you would use, right? So once signed in, you will use your virtual machine in the same way you would otherwise to complete the course. You'd start the required application. Let's say we're going to do a ArcGIS Pro-based course. Opening the specific project required. So you navigate to where that project is stored. And you would walk through the steps from the workbook as you would, again, if you're working with your own machine. And if you have any difficulties, you can open up the Lab Manager found on the desktop. And with just a few words, you can let the instructor know that you're having some kind of challenge with this course. So this now will get sent to the instructor, who will connect with you from there. Note too that as you are working in the lab, you can also engage the instructor and other students via the conference bridge, be that Teams, Zoom, or another preferred option. And so you have multiple ways of communicating. It's also good to know what the instructor sees and how they execute class management. So the instructor, trainer, or facilitator, as they are referred to as well, has classroom oversight for general group management, individual interactions with each student, the ability to share controls on each student's virtual machine, and the ability to monitor activities. Let's have a look now at the instructor's view of the classroom. Now, the trainer experience is very similar at the beginning to the student experience. We also sign in with an access code. We typically use a password, though, so I'll complete my sign in with that. I would have signed in previously and filled in my name and accepted the terms already. So as mentioned, the view is very similar. On the lobby tab, we also see an overview of the classroom, which of our students are on at this time. Both of them are on. They're being very good. We're always grateful for that. If we go to the lab tab, we also see a similar setup where we get the lab status if it's up or if it might need to be refreshed, which we see here as an option. For connecting to our lab, we have the same credentials. We could use those as well. It works just the same. So we click on Connect to Lab. Same experience of preparing the desktop and then entering the password. So here the virtual machine is being prepared. And the startup experience, again, still similar to this point. We close this off as it's not important to our course, and we have the same view. So we have a virtual machine that looks very similar to the student machine. Here's where things will get different. We have a lab manager as well, but when we open up lab manager, we get a different view from the student experience. When the trainer opens up lab manager, we are able to view the student activity. Remember that message John had sent about not being able to see the buildings? Well, here we see that message come through to the instructor, who would now be able to check in on John and find out exactly what's happening with that situation. We'll come back to that in a few. So we are able to see each student and what they're working on at this time. We can see the activities going on in terms of the work being done with the exercises. We see that Amanda is proceeding with her steps, while John is waiting for a response in relation to the issue that he's having. We can also make use of the functionalities further with the environment. From here, we can change the size of the thumbnails that we're seeing, making them a bit smaller or larger. We can also manage various aspects of the lab itself. If we wanted to send a pop-up message to all of our students from Communicate, we have that option to send a pop-up message, which will come up on each person's screen. We're able also to make note of your activities. This is needed sometimes. Some persons may get distracted by various activities, particularly if this is being done from work. So we can set various timers, and if you've been away for any amount of minutes to hours, then we're able to reach out to you otherwise to say, hey, what's happening? Not seeing any activities or not seeing you online, as a matter of fact. What we can do with each student as well, we can view what their activity is at this time. And you'll notice that to the very bottom here, it says the instructor is viewing your system. So I can watch what you're doing versus getting directly involved at this point, which we can. So we notice that here, John is making some attempts at navigating his scene, and he's hoping to see buildings, but they're not coming up. So John is having some issues. So now that I have an idea of what's happening, I'll try to help John. I can stop viewing here, or from here, I can chat with John. So I can say, from the table of content, or the content pane, check the box for census boundaries. And John will get that message on his side, which he will access. Now, it may still not be clear. That happens sometimes if the instructions may not necessarily be clear to the student. Then I can also take control of each system and demonstrate this for the student. So I can now take control of John's machine, check that box, so that the buildings he's been hoping to see are now visible to him. I can stop controlling so that John now has control once again of his machine, and he can now continue on happily. So John is good to continue. We can also send content to each student By transferring files. That's simple. Here we see we've sent an image to John, Woodard locations. We'll now take a look at that on John's system. In John's inbox will be all the files sent to John, inclusive of this one here that was just sent to him. The instructor, as you see, has full access to each student, individual to each student, and the ability to help each student through each step of the exercises. Now that you know you can be trained from anywhere you are, here's some of what you can successfully achieve in the virtual training environment in the areas of desktop, learning about data editing, visualization and mapping, online for collaboration and access to many apps for your various workflows, and enterprise for your own multi-user GIS deployment across locations. Some courses for desktop for ArcGIS Pro are ArcGIS Pro Essential Workflows, putting ArcGIS to use across your organization and migrating from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. And if you aren't yet ready to migrate from ArcMap, then you can explore ArcGIS 3, performing analysis, ArcGIS 4, sharing content on the web. And for the online experience, we have some options here for you as well. There is ArcGIS Online Essential Workflows, creating story maps with ArcGIS, and configuring web apps using Web App Builder for ArcGIS. And if you are a part of an enterprise, then we have, as some options, ArcGIS Enterprise configuring a base deployment, ArcGIS Enterprise administration workflows, and deploying and maintaining a multi-user geodatabase. These are just a few of the many courses that are available though. Please feel free to explore these and others via the link I'm about to send to you in the chat. So just 1 second for that. You should see that link on your side now. Okay, so now then, what does the future of training look like? We are looking at further evolving the training experience for you with instructor-led own pace training. The concept for this is training delivered how you want it. That is online training delivery as you choose, a form of asynchronous training where delivery is at your own pace. You state when, what dates, or even how many hours for each day. So look out for more on this as we endeavor to meet you not only in your own space, but on your own time as well. And while we're discussing the future, I'm turning over to Roshaun, who will let you know a bit more on the future of support. Roshaun?
Thank you so much, Kerry. I really appreciate it. And even myself, I learned a little bit more about the virtualization of our training program. So thank you for that. Spatial is very excited to share some news with all of our participants on this call now and the extended customer family across the region. As of November 1st, all our clients will have access to a heightened, brand new customer service support center, serviced through the Esri LATAM Regional Support Center. Now, what this means is that the world-class award-winning service that Esri provides globally will now be available through our own investment to all of our clients. As of November 1st, you will be served by a customer service program that is 95% customer satisfaction rated and guarantees 55% or higher resolution of the cases within 48 hours. And Spatial is very excited about this because it is a commitment from us to delivering a better and a heightened and a more improved experience for the customers. It means that roughly 400 professionals from around the world will be at your fingertips to give you technical support on every aspect of the Esri technology. Now, as we know, Esri technology is a quickly evolving technology. Every day there is an improvement and there's a new addition to the technology, and it covers every aspect of our society, from the traditional cadastral and environmental management and urban planning to areas as far as the heights can imagine, like aviation, and as the depths of maritime. So it is something that is very far and wide, and the technology is only as strong as how the end user is strengthened to deliver on that technology. So what we have done is partnered with Esri Latam, that has their own dedicated support center, and we have signed an agreement with them. We have engaged a partnership with them to guarantee that all of our clients will have that improved customer service. And you will learn more about it. We'll do a proper release of this, press release, and there will be a landing page that folks can go on to get more information. And our team will be here to help our customers access this customer service, but we're pretty excited about it. So spread the word to all of your GIS professionals, spread it to the wider community. The Esri Latam Regional Support Center is now available for award-winning world-class service for all of our spatial customers across the Caribbean. And I'm very happy to say that. To that note, I would pass back to Kerry to actually play a little video to show what the Esri Latam Regional Support Center is about. Kerry?
Here at the LATAM Support Center, we provide support to the United States, Colombia, Ecuador, and Panama customers. We are composed by two teams, LATAM Regional and LATAM Corporate. Our LATAM Regional team is composed by one group lead, 8 Tier 1 analysts supporting all technologies, and one bench. Our staff is also composed by one site manager, one trainer lead, 2 trainers, 1 quality assurance, whom support the entire operation. Our corporate team is composed by 2 group leads, 2 Tier 2 analysts, 11 Tier 1 desktop and implementation analysts, and 1 bench. We are all graduated from different careers: cadastral and geodesic, environmental and sanitary, computer science, electronics, communications engineering, and geoscience. Working here gives us the opportunity to be surrounded by an amazing and professional group of people. We all have learned a lot about the Esri products and how to apply them to help our customers to make a better world.
Thanks, Kerry. And thanks again, everyone. Thanks for that wonderful presentation. At this point, I would normally do questions and answers, but I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A section. So I'll give everyone probably a few minutes to share any questions. And if there are none, then at this point, at that point, we'll move over and close off the session. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to share any questions that you may have. And if not, we'll move. And additionally, I'd just love your feedback on the presentation itself. You could share that in the comments and let us know if there's anything in there. If you have no questions, just feedback on the presentation itself and what you thought of it. The room does appear very quiet today. So with that said, if you guys, thanks Terry, for acknowledging that the presentation was fine. Appreciate that one. Thanks again, Odine. So Odine Madden, sharing that the presentations were good. Additionally, we'll upload a copy of this webinar on YouTube, and we're also live on Facebook currently. So this webinar will also be hosted on our Facebook page at Spatial Innovision in case you want to view it there as well. So thanks again for your time. And additionally, if you have any questions that you couldn't maybe not have thought of, you can reach out to us at marketing@spatialvision.com as shown on the screen. So any queries that you may have, if you're interested in our training packages of ArcGIS, and the Kerry had shared a link in the chat, so you can view the catalog there as well. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us at marketing@spatialvision.com. So again, I want to thank Kerry-ann and Roshaun for their input this morning. Thanks again for the viewers that tuned in, and enjoy the rest of your Friday and enjoy your weekend as well. Thanks again.
Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Matthew and Roshaun as well. And thanks for the feedback. That's always greatly appreciated. And as Matthew and Roshaun would have said, look out for more and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thanks guys. See you soon.
Okay. Bye, everyone.